In 1720, during the Edo period in Japan, you are born into a desperately poor farming family in a small village outside of Edo, the city that would one day become Tokyo. Your childhood is brief. By age 6, you understand that your family is starving. The rice harvest has failed for the third year in a row. Your parents have debts they cannot pay. Then, when you turn 7, two well-dressed strangers arrive at your home. They speak quietly with your father. Money changes hands. Your mother cries but says nothing. You've just been sold to a brothel in Yoshiwara, the walled pleasure district of Edo. Your parents tell you that you're going to work as a servant, that you'll send money home, that this is temporary, but you'll never see them again, because you're not going to be a servant. You're being trained to become an Oiran, a high-ranking courtesan in Japan's most famous red light district. The journey to Yoshiwara takes hours. When you finally arrive, you see walls surrounding an entire neighborhood. This is the place without night, a district where lanterns burn constantly, where music and laughter echo through the streets, where everything is designed for pleasure. But you also notice something crucial. There's only one gate in and one gate out, and it's guarded. You've entered a prison disguised as paradise, and your contract, the one your father signed, binds you here for 10 years minimum. But with the debts you'll accumulate for food, clothing, and training, you'll likely never leave at all. This is your new life, and it starts with erasing who you were. You're assigned to a brothel house and immediately given a new name. Your birth name no longer matters. From now on, you're called Hanazuru, flower crane. You begin at the very bottom as a kimono, a young attendant serving the high-ranking courtesans. You watch them carefully, learning how they move, how they speak, how they transform themselves into living works of art. Your training is intensive and relentless. You study traditional arts, shamisen music, calligraphy, tea ceremony, flower arrangement, poetry composition, the strategy game of Go. You learn to dance in the elaborate style required for entertaining wealthy clients. You memorize hundreds of songs and poems, but you're also learning something darker: how to walk in 20-centimeter-high wooden platform sandals called okobo without falling, how to paint your face white with lead-based makeup that will slowly poison you over the years, how to speak in the refined dialect of the pleasure quarters, how to smile while your feet bleed inside those impossible shoes. By age 13, you've progressed from Kamuro to Shinzo, a courtesan apprentice. Your training becomes more specific. You learn the art of conversation, how to flatter powerful men, how to make them feel special while revealing nothing of your true self. At 15, you're promoted again. You're becoming an Oiran, though still in the lower ranks. You're assigned your first clients, men who pay substantial sums to spend time with a young courtesan in training. By 17, if you're beautiful enough, talented enough, and lucky enough, you might be elevated to the higher ranks of Oiran. These positions have names that sound prestigious: Yobidashi, Tsukemawashi, Chusan. The highest rank of all is Taiyu, the elite courtesans who entertained nobles and could refuse clients they didn't like. But by the 1720s, there are only 3 Taiyu left in all of Yoshiwara. That position is becoming extinct, priced out of existence because the fees are so astronomical that almost no one can afford them. So you aim for the achievable ranks, the ones where you might actually make a living and perhaps eventually buy your freedom. At age 19, you've achieved the rank of Chusan, a mid-level Oiran with your own regular clients. Every day is performance. Every moment is theater. You wake in the afternoon because the pleasure quarters come alive at night. Servants help you dress in layers of elaborate silk kimono. The finest ones cost more than a farmer earns in 5 years. Your hair is arranged in intricate styles decorated with countless ornamental combs and pins, gifts from wealthy admirers. The entire ensemble weighs over 20 pounds. Your face is painted white with lead powder and rice paste. Your eyebrows are shaved and redrawn higher on your forehead. Your teeth are blackened with a mixture of iron filings and vinegar, the mark of a sophisticated woman in Edo-period Japan. Your lips are painted a deep red. You no longer look like yourself. You've become a fantasy, a living artwork that men pay enormous sums to admire. In the evening, you participate in the Oiran Dochu, the courtesan procession. Musicians and dancers lead the way, wearing fox masks representing Inari, the patron god of Yoshiwara. Watchmen follow, shaking metal rings to announce your approach. Then come your attendants carrying lanterns with your name painted on them, and finally you appear, walking in your impossibly high sandals with deliberate, exaggerated figure-8 steps designed to show off every layer of your kimono, moving so slowly that spectators can admire every detail of your costume, your makeup, your carefully cultivated beauty. Crowds gather to watch. Women from respectable families come to Yoshiwara just to see the Oiran processions, to study the latest fashions, to glimpse these living celebrities of Edo society. You are famous famous within these walls. You are admired, desired, envied, but you are not free. After the procession, you return to the brothel's reception room where you sit on display behind a latticed window. Men walking by can see you and request your services. If you're a high-ranking Oiran, you have some power to refuse clients who seem crude or violent. But refusing too often angers your brothel owner, and you need clients to pay off your endless debts. When a client is approved, you entertain him in a private room. You pour his sake, play music for him, engage in witty conversation about poetry and current events. You laugh at his jokes. You make him feel brilliant and important. And then, inevitably, you perform the other service you're there to provide. 10 years have passed since you arrived in Yoshiwara at age 7. You're now considered one of the successful Oiran in your house. But success in Yoshiwara is relative. You've accumulated substantial debts. Every kimono you wear, every ornament in your hair, every meal you eat, every medical treatment you receive, all of it is charged to your account by the brothel owner. Your earnings go toward paying these debts, but somehow the numbers never decrease. The brothel keeps careful records, and those records show you owing more now than when you started. This is intentional. The system is designed to keep you here. You watch other women around you age in the pleasure quarters. The ones who were beautiful Oiran at 20 become forgotten prostitutes by 30, serving lower-class clients in back rooms. The ones who get sick, and many do, from sexually transmitted diseases, from the laid-in-the-face powder, from exhaustion, are discarded. Some women find escape through a wealthy patron who buys out their contract and keeps them as a mistress or even a wife. But this is rare, a fantasy sold in popular fiction, but seldom realized in actual life. The truly lucky ones save enough money and have lenient enough owners to eventually buy their own freedom. But you've calculated the numbers. At your current earnings, minus your accumulating debts, this would take 30 years. You'll be too old by then, used up, worthless. The loneliness is crushing. You're surrounded by hundreds of people, other courtesans, servants, clients, but you can't trust any of them. The other women are your competition, fighting for the same wealthy clients. The servants report everything to the brothel owners. The clients see you as an object, a fantasy, not a person, and you can never leave. Yoshiwara is walled. The gates are guarded. Women caught trying to escape are brought back and severely punished, beaten, demoted to the lowest ranks, sometimes sold to worse establishments. Some women choose another escape, suicide. The canal at the edge of Yoshiwara claims several bodies every year, women who couldn't endure another day in the floating world. You're now 25 years old. You've been in Yoshiwara for 18 years, more than 2/3 of your life. You're still considered attractive, still earning money for the brothel, but you feel yourself aging in a profession that worships youth. Newer, younger girls arrive constantly, fresh faces untainted by years of this work. You've seen what happens to older courtesans. They're moved to smaller, cheaper rooms. Their client fees decrease. Eventually, they're relegated to serving the lowest class customers who can't afford the young, beautiful Oiran. Then one day, something unexpected happens. You become pregnant. This is both a crisis and an opportunity. Pregnant courtesans can't work, which means no income. But if you bear a healthy child, some brothel owners allow women to work as servants or managers instead of courtesans. You give birth to a daughter. For a brief moment, you feel hope. Perhaps this child will have a different life, a better life than yours. But the brothel owner makes his decision. Your daughter will be raised in Yoshiwara. When she's old enough, she'll become a kimono just as you were. The cycle will continue. You realize with horror that you've recreated your own imprisonment in your child. Some women in your situation find a way out. A wealthy regular client might take pity and buy out your contract now that you have a child. A kind-hearted patron might help you escape to a temple where former courtesans sometimes find refuge. But most women never escape. They grow old in Yoshiwara, becoming servants, then caretakers, then forgotten residents of the pleasure quarters. When they die, from disease, from poisoning by the lead makeup, from simple exhaustion, they're carried to Jokanji Temple through the back entrance and buried in unmarked graves because no one can afford a proper funeral. This might be your ending too. After decades of being admired as one of Edo's most glamorous women, you'll die anonymously, your body dumped in a mass grave with dozens of other forgotten courtesans. The Yoshiwara was called the floating world, a Buddhist term that originally meant the suffering world, but was rewritten to mean a place where people could float free from society's restrictions and abandon themselves to pleasure. But for you and thousands of women like you, the floating world was never about freedom. It was about drowning slowly while everyone watching called it beautiful. You were sold at 7. You were trained to be perfect. You became famous within these walls. You were admired, desired, painted in artwork, written about in poems, but you were never free, and you never will be. Did you guys like this video? I love to hear from you guys. What should we dive into next? Drop your ideas in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this, hit that subscribe button. That would help me a lot. Thank you for watching.